So I'm Bond, James Bond.
I'm Black Widow.
I'm the Call of the Wild.
And it's me, the Irishman.
And those are the things we're going to talk about on Funhaus today. So join us right after this.
Like the 2-second intro clip?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. They don't have to wait too long.
So welcome to Funhaus, everybody. This week I'm joined by Elise, James, and Adam.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
My name's Daniel. So today we get to talk about two of my favorite film genres, super spies and gangsters. So we've got some fresh trailers out this week, No Time to Die and Black Widow. So we'll be chatting about those and then our thoughts on House Painting and The Irishman. Hopefully we'll have a bit of time at the end of the show and we can talk about the Harrison Ford dog movie and the Tom Hanks from Mr. Rogers joint. This week, the sponsors of this show are Muggsy Jeans and Columbia College and Manscaped, but I will tell you a little bit more about those guys later on. We're going to start with Bond. I know James is the biggest James Bond fan I know. Have you had a chance to see this, James?
I have, absolutely.
Did you dissect it?
I did not dissect it because I don't want it. Looking at it, I'm already kind of piecing things together, and I don't want to spoil it for myself.
You're not trying to overguess?
Last Daniel Craig Bond. My sweet Daniel Craig boy, baby, come home.
This is the last one, right?
This is his last
His
one.
fifth one.
It is. He said it was.
Did he?
Yeah, and I think
he said he wanted to
contractually,
kill himself previously,
there's
but he's
always
done it again.
Well, he clarified that statement.
did.
Come on,
He did.
guys. He
He
said
did.
it's exhausting and it's very harrowing.
He's not getting
sure
younger.
if people asked us if we wanted to do this job next year, we'd say we'd rather kill ourselves too.
I believe the quote came in an interview 2 days after he finished rapping Spectre, so I can understand him never wanting to do something
Also,
like
it seems
that
like
again.
every single time he films a movie, he breaks something
Yeah.
or hurts himself
Breaks a
really
bone.
bad because he's heavily involved in the stunts, if not just doing them entirely
I think
himself. So
sometimes you don't always fully recover from injuries like that. Like you're back to normal, you can do action, but you still have a little bit of pain
Like
or a
when
little
he
bit of
got-
ache.
When he got shot in Skyfall and he couldn't hold that gun straight because the emotional damage that it did.
yeah,
Exactly.
So I watched the trailer once all the way through, got goosebumps. Can't wait for it. Looks great. I do think the trailer has some weird pacing issues. Like it almost feels like it keeps resetting itself.
They're throwing too much at you?
Not too
Without
much. I think it's.
context?
I don't. They haven't released a runtime. I think this movie is going to clock in over two and a half hours easy,
yeah.
just based off the trailer alone. But they keep resetting. So they start, and he's on a mission. And it's him, Leah Seydoux. They're doing stuff together, and it's all going classic James Bond stuff. And then it resets, and they're like, "You don't know her." And then it reintroduces Blofeld.
Which is cool. I was
Christoph Waltz.
actually not expecting that, honestly.
Got a saggy eye.
I
Stroke face.
It got blown out.
Well, the
No.
thing is,
Yeah.
I remember when this movie was coming together, they said, no, yeah, Christoph Waltz is going to stay in the franchise. Like, yes, great. But I wonder what capacity. It ended so, it was so unceremonious for him at the end of it or whatever. And then he popped up in this. I was like, oh, right, this is such a great, him doing like a Silence of the Lambs thing is like
Yeah.
a perfect scenario for
Somehow
him.
being really creepy from behind bars.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the implications from the trailer that our beautiful Leah Seydoux betrayed him? I love her so much.
I love it because my least favorite thing about Spectre was
Tied
their
him down.
relationship. Yeah, was how he's like, I'm walking away. He goes,
you
new
actually-
M, I'm walking away.
Can you remind me of what happened? Because I do not remember what she did to him in the end of the movie.
They fell in love. I mean, he was going after, Spectre was like a continuation of his saga.
Right. They were responsible for the actions of Casino Royale and
to some extent, I think even, I don't think it was
Quantum?
no,
Yeah.
well, Quantum and Casino Royale are inextricably
the same
linked.
movie.
The same movie.
But Skyfall was a little bit different, but he was basically like reintroducing himself to the whole Vesper thing, and it turned out there was an even larger organization pulling the strings from the other organization, and so one of the people that came back into it was this old man who was involved in that, who was like the key to finding out what this Spectre organization was, and then in his pursuit of finding that guy, he found his daughter, who was Leah Seydoux.
Okay.
Right.
And then they team up and go on a cross-country adventure together and bang a lot. And I actually I thought Spectre was a little bloated, but I actually liked it a lot.
I liked it too.
I liked it too, but it did get a little goofy, maybe. Like it started towards that sillier side of Bond that
the big loud action set piece where he's got plot armor.
Yeah, physics stop mattering.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I liked it because normally what happens is that happens in like you have a golden eye, and then movies happen like Animorphs. Movies happen, and then you end up with a Die Another Day, and you're like, how did I get here? This is the Spectre.
There's actually a
first time
transition point during the film.
There is a movie where that happens, and it unfolds in front of you, and I kind of dug how they're doing an experiment on a spoiler for the end of Spectre, the movie that came out 20 years ago or whatever.
4, 3.
But they're fucking with his brain in a classic James Bond trap experiment, and then Léa Seydoux. The only thing I didn't really like about the movie is she leans in and she goes, "I love you," and he goes, and he like comes back to life because of it. I'm like, I always thought it'd be better if she's like, we can do anal, and then and then he's like, and then he pops out of it. But when he does pop out of it, he's like new Bond. He's like fully fledged Super Bond, and he's picking off dudes from like 3/4 of a mile away with a handgun, and I'm like, that's stuff he doesn't do at the beginning of the movie at all, or in any of the rest of these movies. And I was like, oh, cool. He transitioned into super spy Bond in the course of one movie.
I love the title treatment. I think it's really cool, extremely well designed.
Yeah,
I think they've done a good job with the design on this movie.
But the only caveat was that you took so long to get to Waltz as Blofeld, and they also did the
Con.
Untoward Darkness thing where they're like
meant to get captured.
He's like, what's your name? He's like, Blowbeld, and you're like, you're Blofeld, and he's like, no, I said Blowbeld, and then at the end he goes, aha, I was Blofeld all along, and it's like, yeah, we know.
People like me who have only seen GoldenEye forward went, what's a Blofeld?
Oh, how dare you?
I don't know. I've never seen any of the other ones.
But putting him in this one is great. I think him being like this.
Do you think they realized it was like that was kind of a waste of him in the last movie, where they're like, we didn't really get to do as many things with him. It'd be a waste to get rid of him.
Yeah.
I thought when the other movie was like coming out or was being made that they said that Christoph Waltz would be in more than just one.
That
sounds really familiar.
That was the threat.
If you don't put me in this movie, I'll be back for the
So
I do the big eyes, and then I'll be the big lies.
Back for your movie. But then also I again when I was watching the trailer forgot Rami Malek.
I was going to say
in this one.
So I feel like in the past you haven't been a huge Rami Malek fan.
Why would you say that?
You've just expressed no interest in Mr. Robot.
I've always said he's a great actor who's in mostly garbage stuff. Not Mr. Robot being garbage. I just feel like the first season at least, he's just this mute who stares.
I mean, that's his character in that show.
But then in Bohemian Rhapsody, he's really good, but the rest of the movie's garbage. So I don't have anything against Rami Malek at all. I don't know that he should have necessarily won that Oscar, but I don't care. That's not his fault.
Of all the actors in the Need for Speed movie, would we have thought Rami Malek would be the most successful?
Absolutely not.
I know he's supposed to be imposing and threatening when you see him emerge from the shadows in this. He's not imposing and threatening to me.
Did you hear Dan slap the keyboard
to me
anger?
is so cool.
Javier
so
Bardem
Bond.
is so menacing, and to then follow him up, obviously not directly, but 2 movies later with Rami Malek, I'm like, I don't get that same impression.
It's got to
and
be a
vibe
different
from
kind of
him.
threat.
Javier Bardem is a slab of steak, and Rami Malek is a half a Twinkie.
Yeah.
With poison in it or something.
Exactly, but it's like it's what's on the inside that kills you.
I think the imagery here is great. He's got the Bond
Phantom.
villain physical malady thing going.
He's the Phantom of the Opera.
And he's got a Phantom of the Opera
I
mask.
think that imagery looks super cool. I would agree with you if it's just Rami Malek, but we're also going to get Christoph Waltz. So Rami Malek doesn't.
It's basically a Batman movie.
He doesn't have to carry the whole thing.
Catwoman's in it.
We're gonna have these 2 things. There's also an introduction of a new banging hot chick.
Anna de Armas is pretty awesome.
She's great.
There's Léa Seydoux.
There are multiple beautiful women in this movie.
There's the new 00 that they're introducing as well, which I can only assume is a reference to Halle Berry's character.
He can bang her too.
From Die Another Day. What's her name?
Lashana Lynch is Naomi, is the new 00.
No,
agent.
what's Halle Berry's character?
Like
it's like
Josephine Pusselot or
Yeah,
something.
it's like Kitty Suck Off or whatever. Oh wait, no, that's
Battlestar.
Battlestar. Fuck, what's her name?
Like Emmy Rockhard. I forget.
On the right.
I don't know.
No.
Is that the same one where Denise Richards was the scientist?
No.
Jinx Johnson.
You mean Christmas Jones?
Oh yeah.
You're kidding, right?
No, that's her name, Christmas
it
Jones.
was
So
the
that way,
setup for
at
the
the end
last
of the
line of the
movie,
film.
he can go, "Christmas does come twice a year," and he goes, "Ugh!" It comes from the tits.
No, sorry to let you down, but Holly Berry's name was Jinx Johnson.
Jinx. Yeah, Jinx, like Jinx the cat.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's not like a
Because
sex pun.
was she bad luck?
It's alliteration. It's classic Bond.
It's a classic Bond.
It is. But no. So I think it looks stacked with really cool people.
It looks pretty. Cary Fukunaga always makes really pretty stuff.
I'm excited for the action sequences that they show off in it are really good.
Is it following the rule though, where every other one is? It should
good.
it should be good. One should be bad. Basically, that seems to be the track record so far, right? Casino Royale good, Quantum bad, Skyfall good, Spectre. People
Here's
are
the
kind
thing
of,
about Quantum of Solace. It's just an epilogue.
Sure, but it's still an entire movie.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying I don't hate Quantum of Solace.
It was the writer's strike, man.
It was during the writer's strike.
Like Daniel Craig writing that movie.
It's the shortest James Bond movie of all that have ever been made, and it's just an epilogue to Casino Royale. So I don't think it's terrible. It's
I
just
didn't say it's terrible,
less
right?
than.
Right, but I'm saying compared to Skyfall and Casino Royale, it is the lesser than.
Do you think any Bond movies are terrible, James?
Yeah, Roger Moore has some garbage ones. Not a View to a Kill.
Moonraker?
What is it? The one with
Not on Her
Christopher
Majesty's.
Walken.
Oh.
What is that?
On Her Majesty's Tits or whatever.
That one's actually really good. Doesn't get enough credit. George
Yeah.
Lazenby is really good.
Oh, what's her face? Actually, I read a rumor that what is the one with Christopher Walken?
I'm blanking.
Maybe Moonraker? Oh.
I don't
Is
think
that space?
Octopussy isn't that great. Moonraker isn't that great.
Rollerball's a different franchise.
While we're thinking on it, is Christoph Waltz wearing a golf shirt in his cell?
Prison issued golf.
I want to see what he looks like.
Where is
'cause
that in
In
this
this
trailer? I'll find it.
conversation,
A View
John,
to
I
a Kill.
have to
A View
hit
to a
the
Kill, yeah.
links.
Where'd he go?
Oh.
Where, is he at the beginning or the?
Somewhere in the
He's
mid
there.
part,
It's
I
after
this.
think.
He's like, you trust
I want
her.
to see him. Yeah, what's he wearing there?
Little polo?
Oh,
A
yeah,
polo or
I don't know.
something. Yeah, there's a
No,
there's
no,
a
no.
there's a
There's
face-on
not.
shot of him where you can see it better. But
Anyway, Grace Jones was actually reported or rumored to be in this movie.
that'd be cool.
But then found out
There he
she
is.
had like 3 lines and then quit.
Okay.
There are no small parts, Grace.
It's an
Come on.
interesting callback to Grace Jones from one of the worst
Worst
James
Bond movies.
I think it
But
might
she
be
is
worse.
memorable, right?
In that movie?
Yeah.
I don't know.
She's just memorable.
I think the worst thing about what is it? A View to a Kill?
Yeah.
Yeah. The worst thing about A View to a Kill is that if you read the Wikipedia, it sounds like the coolest Bond movie because Christopher Walken's character is a clone of Hitler. He's a super genius clone of Hitler, and he's like he's taking over the tech industry in San Francisco, but this is like the early 80s.
Oh my
So it's
God.
like way before everything.
This looks like a scene from RoboCop. This is amazing. I'm waiting for
Maybe
Ed
the same
209 to
time
come out.
period.
But except that like the action set pieces in this movie are they go to a horse racing track.
Yeah.
It's terrible. And Roger Moore is way too old for this part of it. So.
I guess he was the oldest Bond ever. I think he did it at 57, and
Really?
Daniel Craig is 51 now.
Yeah, he's
People
been doing
look better now
He's been
when
doing
they're
it for
older.
at least 10 years, right?
it's-
More.
Except that Roger Moore is one of the dudes who was an old man when he was like he turned 29 and was just old.
Looked ancient.
If you go watch Live and Let Die, you're like, holy cow! Watch the next one he does. He's old. Something happened.
I have to reiterate, I love Lea Seydoux so much, and I think she's an actress that feels very classic, like a Grace Kelly or Kim Novak type. Like she just has that vibe to her, and I'm so glad that she is in a Bond movie because I think it is a very classic franchise, classic woman.
Who are we talking about?
Lea Seydoux.
Lea Seydoux.
Oh, is
her.
what is her? So besides, she's in Death Stranding, right?
Well, blue's the
Yes.
warmest color.
So that was-
Midnight in Paris. She's at the very end. It's who Owen Wilson goes off with is Lea Seydoux.
Because I know she's like hot right now. I mean, she's also what Mission Impossible? No,
No, you're thinking of what's her name?
similar looking but different. Okay.
Well, she has I would say a little different. The woman in Mission Impossible has more of a Slavic face, I'd say.
Wow.
What's her name?
You don't have to get caught up on the names.
Yeah.
It's fine. Not a big deal. I was just, for some reason, I've been seeing the name a lot, and then I remember her from Spectre. I remember that being not a great part, only because I was like, James Bond don't get married.
Mm-hmm.
And also the thing is like, so I killed your dad. You want to bang? She's like, yes.
Well,
Was that her dad?
Yeah.
Didn't he
I
get
don't-
married on Her Majesty's Secret Service?
Yeah. Well,
He always gets married.
One of the best. One of the best.
doesn't he scoop up Blofeld in his wheelchair and drop
No.
him in the top of a?
No,
Is that a different one?
On Her Majesty's Secret Service, he gets married,
That's the one
and
before
then
that. Okay.
he gets married to one of the Avengers guys.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
The British
yeah.
television show The Avengers. He gets
Right.
married to her.
To Uma
Crossover?
Thurman.
Are you kidding me?
The crossover no one asked
and
for.
then on their honeymoon, they're like going for a joyride, and then Blofeld drives by in his car and shoots up the car,
Nice.
kills his wife. Except that George Lazenby didn't want to come back, so then the
Yeah.
sequel, Diamonds Are Forever, is Sean Connery again, and it picks up with him hunting
Confusing.
down Blofeld. But they never really resolved that arc until just as a cold open for Spy Who Loved Me, maybe, or something like that. It's Roger Moore, who is now 2 Bonds removed from having anything to do with this woman, goes to the grave of the George Lazenby's Bond's wife, and then Blofeld shows up and then tries to kill him, and then he switches it back, gets control of a helicopter, scoops him up, and then kills
Can
Blofeld.
I ask you a question?
Yeah.
We always know James Bond for his really well-cut suits. Has there ever been a James Bond movie where you've seen him just chilling out in a pair of jeans?
I feel like
Sorry, I had my mind completely elsewhere.
you know who I think would love a really comfortable pair of jeans? Timothy Dalton. He seems like the kind
He
of
seems like a
Bond who
jeans
would-
guy. Well,
Who
if,
wouldn't?
if you, the audience out there, might be interested in jeans, you guys should check out Muggsy Jeans. What was the fucking
I thought for sure, I'm like, there's no way.
I just was not listening to what you were saying. Woman was talking.
Yeah.
But Muggsy Jeans is extending their Black Friday sale for you this week. Head to Muggsy.com and use code FILMHOUSE for 25% off your order of 2 or more pairs of Muggsy Jeans. Muggsy jeans are the most comfortable men's jeans ever made, and that's no exaggeration. Muggsy's are real jeans that literally feel as comfortable as sweatpants. The magic is in Muggsy's proprietary fabrics, which include a blend of high-tech materials that make these jeans mind-blowingly soft and flexible. Best of all, Muggsy's come in a stylish fit that's not too baggy, but not too tight, so you look even better than you feel. If you want comfortable jeans that look good, Muggsy jeans are for you. The guys at Muggsy are so confident you'll love them, they offer free USA shipping and returns, so your comfort is 100% guaranteed. Do your legs a favor. Grab your own pair of the jeans that are sweeping the nation by heading to Muggsy.com. That's MUGSY.com. And order today using code FILMHOUSE for 25% off 2 or more pairs. Trust me, you don't want to miss out on this Black Friday deal. Once again, that is Muggsy.com. Use the code FILMHOUSE. You'll get 25% off an order of 2 or more pairs of Muggsy jeans. I love my Muggsies. I think they're really nice jeans. They're stretchy. They're comfortable. Check them out. I think you'll dig them.
By the way, they stole this in Batman Returns when the Penguin has remember the kitty version of the Batmobile that he takes over, and then Batman has to do it's the exact same thing. But yeah,
Oh,
then he
he's gonna
finds
get him.
Blofeld.
Okay. So this is our hero.
Yeah,
He hooks up a bad guy who's disabled.
he's in a wheelchair.
Is-
yeah.
oh, is there- I mean-
but it's not Telly Savalas, who's the main Blofeld.
There were like 4 or 5 Blowfelds. I
yeah,
think.
this is just some guy.
Cool.
This is and they could have put this in Austin Powers. No,
Yeah, absolutely.
Surprised they didn't.
Look at that dummy.
Did he rub him on his head?
I think he
he's a-
patted him on the head.
There you go, old chap.
Yeah.
Anyway, how's murder sound?
Oh!
Wow, that was premeditated.
When this guy falls.
I was going to change subjects, but I did have a good question. Do you think James Bond should die? Because I know that was apparently one of the big breaking points of Danny Boyle leaving was supposedly he and his screenwriter wanted to kill Bond.
I mean, just to do it, no.
Yeah, exactly.
I think, the whole 00 James Bond is an alien. It's not true. It's a series of 24 movies
It is a character.
that
It's
have
a person.
endured over 50 years. Or There are no rules. When someone started making it, they didn't set the rules.
Do you kill Santa? Do you kill Ronald
Yeah.
McDonald?
So
These are cultural touchstones that we cannot rid ourselves of.
the whole I would rather them just keep transforming Bond.
Yeah.
Bond should be a reflection, and I kind of dig how you can see a Bond movie and kind of have a pretty good idea what decade it's from. I think that's super cool.
Sticking with the super spy theme and the new trailers that popped up this week, we got a trailer for Black Widow, which will be Scarlett Johansson's 9th time playing Natasha Romanoff.
Doesn't really seem like that much in the grand scheme of all the Marvel movies.
20 out of 24 Marvel movies, she's played Black Widow 9 times.
She was there from almost the beginning.
Yeah, her runtime has been increased since the first time we saw her in Iron Man 2 when she's like kind of barely in it. Has one cool action scene.
She does her flip thing.
Yeah,
She
like
kills all
barely
those
talks.
security guards who were just working at the building that didn't have any allegiance to anyone, but she hangs that guy.
She got super cool in Avengers, and then like Civil War had some cool moments. But like, now we're
How many?
I think this looks fucking rad, by the way.
been in?
Tony Stark. I think something like
A lot more than that.
13 or something. I don't know.
Really?
Does it
I
count if
guess
it's a mural?
Spider-Man.
Or
There's rumors that he's in this.
that would maybe make
Well,
sense.
because this is a prequel.
Yeah, it was supposed to take place after Civil War. They honestly probably should have made this movie then.
Yeah, that's-
who knows why
I
they
don't.
didn't.
So here, this is the thought I
kinda know.
got from this is it has a John Wick vibe to it. So maybe we needed 3 John Wick movies and an Atomic Blonde for them to go, okay, you can make a female-centric action movie set in the Marvel universe.
Just make sure all the women's hair is braided because they're from Eastern Europe
And
and
they need to look the same.
they all need some kind of braid in their ponytail.
Atomic Blonde, very underrated movie, by the way.
Is it underrated?
I think so. I don't know a lot of people that saw it.
I thought.
Oh, maybe-
I hope.
I mean, I think it's a great movie.
Yeah.
But
I mean, that's dude's obviously Hawkeye.
It's not.
Is it?
It's not.
No, he does his bow reverse.
It's because he's using a different hand. Hawkeye, I guess.
Okay.
shoots with
What's
his
the
other
line
hand.
that they have where they're like, we both remember Prague
Oh, yeah.
differently or
Is it
whatever?
Budapest?
Budapest, maybe.
And they say it that way. They say it all.
Budapest.
Remember
So
when we got croissants at
that's-
Budapest?
That's why I think he's going to show up in this movie and as like an antagonist to her, and it's what the events of what that was.
What? No,
That'd be
I thought it takes place after Civil War, though.
Does it?
That's what people are theorizing.
Oh, never mind then.
Yeah.
That's the timeline. I don't
I mean,
know. I
they-
just thought it was like.
I don't
I
think
guess she
anyone
looks
knows.
35 in it, so who knows? I don't know.
I'm excited to see what the bookends are for this movie because I'm guessing it's going to be like a Saving Private Ryan type thing where it starts where we currently are in
Yeah,
the MCU,
sure.
and then someone's going to go to. It's going to be like Jeremy Renner or whatever goes to her grave. And then it turns out that wasn't Jeremy Renner; it was Matt Damon at the end. But I'm curious to see how they're going to slide this into the timeline. They've already fucked it up before when they did
What's that?
Ant-Man 2
Oh, yeah.
came out after
They're
all
going
the
to confuse
events
the
that
shit
had-
out of people. I think
Yeah.
people are going to be confused. They're going to be like, why is she alive again?
Well, that's why they're going to have to make it very clear,
But
right?
they're all going to go see it.
Yes.
Well, that's
Well,
the
it's
thing.
going to go 8 months earlier.
Yeah.
So you were asking what it took to make this movie. I do think it was Captain Marvel and Black Panther both making $1 billion. And they're like, oh, a movie not led by white dudes can make $1 billion.
But we're kind of weird, too, because Scarlett Johansson's been like a Hollywood darling for a decade now.
She's not guaranteed box office gold, interestingly enough. I mean, Ghost in the Shell, she's been in plenty movies where
That movie also.
her name alone is not enough to drag people to theaters. I'll tell you what, I was not super interested in this movie or this trailer until it introduced Yelena.
Oh, she's great.
And her
Yeah.
crazy Russian family. What is it?
love it.
Red Scare or what was his name?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I have it written somewhere there.
Red Scare.
Red Guardian.
The Red Guardian.
David Harbour's perfect
Yeah.
for it, I think.
He's so good, and him looking as goofy Captain America. I was like, this just seems like it's going to be one of the espionage Captain America movies.
Those are my favorite.
Without Captain America, though.
Yeah, it feels
Yeah.
most like Winter Soldier to me,
Which is-
tonally watching this trailer.
I think it's
Because
the
there's-
third best MCU movie.
There's
I
no
love it.
superpowers other
Yeah.
than, I guess, Taskmaster is just good at
He's
memorizing
got muscle
things.
memory or something
It's
like
all
that.
espionage. It's
You
all
know
just
what?
action.
Taskmaster, he could learn to fight like Moon Knight, but he chooses not to because Moon Knight's so crazy.
How do you know this?
I think he's
I
making
thought
it.
everyone. No, that's true.
People tweet these up.
No,
right?
but I learn
Taskmaster
about
has
things.
muscle memory. What does that have to do with being crazy?
Because the way Moon Knight fights is so dangerous to Moon Knight that Taskmaster would put himself in danger by even thinking of fighting the way Moon Knight fights, even though we could.
Why are we getting a Black Widow movie when we could be getting a Moonlight movie even faster?
We're getting a
Moon Knight show.
Moon Knight show.
I want a movie, damn it.
No, you don't. I mean, you'll get it eventually. They gotta go through the trials. The same way Scarlett Johansson went through the 10 years of Marvel MCU trials, where said, "Fine, we'll give you a movie."
Yeah, I'm curious to see. This is one of those things too, where like, I hope there is some good character stuff. I feel like even though she was in 9 of those movies, she was always an accessory to whoever the main focal point was, and it really honestly wasn't until Endgame that it was like, oh, she has an agenda.
Oh, she's a leader.
Well, she has purpose, and she feels things, and she isn't just accessory item to one of the main character or whatever they're doing.
Send her off the cliff.
Well,
And also the fact that you know that she's dead.
Well, and there's
supposedly.
I forget which Avengers it's in, but the whole stuff with her where she's like, I can't have babies, and so I'm not worth anything, and
Age
it's
of
like,
Ultron,
yeah, and it's like, okay, well,
and
she's an amazing woman that does all these things, but
And Mark
she has
Ruffalo,
no use to society because her womb is big.
Mark Ruffalo was like,
That's Joss Whedon talking.
I am also
Yeah,
a monster,
quote.
and then hard cut to him going like, oh, I figured it out.
yeah,
Can you have babies? No. Oh, okay.
I'm signing. He's signing autographs.
Yeah.
So Florence Pugh, pretty big actress now.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think she's going to die in this movie, or is she going to maybe be the next Black Widow and be Black Widow in whatever in other Avengers movies?
She's going to pop up in Flapton. She's going to be Winter
She'll
Soldier.
Pop, yeah,
Falcon
in the Winter
Captain.
Soldier Falcon
Captain
movie.
Falcon.
Yeah. I think some of this. Yeah,
My
Flapton
God.
America.
Oh, wow. I thought you meant like flap, like slang for vagina.
No. It's because it's got wings.
Oh, okay. I
He's
thought you
flapped
were,
in America.
Oh, okay. I thought you were calling her flapped in America because this crude slang for vagina is
Yelena
flap,
could never be American.
and so that's what I
Yeah,
thought.
no. I think
That's where my mind went.
they may be setting some stuff up for Disney Plus shows.
Sure, yeah.
Good idea.
I imagine too that just because of the way comics are and stuff, they're going to they've already shown the alternate universes and stuff where maybe this whole thing takes place in an alternate universe where she is still alive.
She's new Hayden Panettiere or whatever.
New
Florence.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
well,
Yeah.
She does have a very
ScarJo.
similar wide face.
Except she's a really good actress.
Where's
I
she
think
from?
She's good. Midsummer?
Midsummer.
Oh, that's Midsummer. Okay, gotcha.
What
Is that
else
supposed to be young Thunderbolt Ross? Even though that makes no sense.
They definitely de-aged him some.
So
Why? What?
that means
'Cause
that's
Samuel was
because that
busy.
me's that's a
Wait,
flashback.
so when did this take place?
That's what I'm saying.
I don't-
They're gonna
Civil War doesn't sound right if that's how Thunderbolt
Budapest.
Ross was.
yeah, they're gonna show Budapest.
Some portion of it's got a flashback to the Cold War to make the Russia stuff relevant.
Yeah, it
maybe.
could jump through decades. It could be like you
Yeah,
telling a
'cause
story
Captain Marvel
over.
did that, right?
Yeah.
Captain Marvel have anything that was in the present?
Mostly stayed in the 90s and pre-90s
Yeah,
and all
didn't
that
it
stuff.
have? Oh no, that was Spider-Man. I don't know. Either way, I hope at the end of this it's revealed that we weren't watching a Black Widow movie at all. In fact, it was Ben Mendelsohn, the
As-
Skrull, was her the whole movie.
in a simulation, and he goes,
Yeah.
"I think I found out what
That's
it
why he
is."
sound. He doesn't sound like Kano.
Oh,
he
just-
just
He just has and then with the lisp.
So do you think this movie could make $1 billion?
Sure.
yeah.
I think all the
I'm-
Marvel movies
the
the
are.
Marvel
fact
in
that
front, right?
I think Captain Marvel did gangbusters because we had blue balls and we were waiting for Endgame, and we're like, I'll take anything that gets me, like, you tease this character, yes, what's this about, let's see it. It was a meh movie, but it was like, it held you over until the big thing. So yeah, maybe people are hungry enough that it's like, it's probably gonna be good too. Who's directing it? I don't know, somebody.
Kate Shortland, an indie director that you've never heard of anything she's ever directed.
You got it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good luck to her.
Yeah, I think if it doesn't make $1 billion, Scarlett Johansson should maybe go back to school, find something else to do.
That's not working for her.
Since
Find
she
something
gave it a
else.
shot.
Just
You
give
know
the
what?
acting game a shot. Just
Hey.
maybe pursue a new career.
I can't believe that. I know what you're doing, but
Say it, go ahead. We'll
I
go
can't
ahead.
believe that. Wasn't that like 10 minutes? I can't believe
We're a lot of
that
topics.
with the way Marvel cast stuff, they don't have the actress from Killing Eve in this.
Oh yes.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
I feel
she's
like
great.
she would have definitely landed in one of these
Oh
types
yeah,
of
I love
movies or
her.
something.
The blonde from Philly?
Unless
Yeah.
they must have earmarked her for something else
Maybe.
later on.
A different character.
Gamora 2 or something.
I do think it's weird. It looks like a bunch of the major characters in this movie are Russians. Are they going to try and make us root for Russian
Sympathetic
characters?
to the Russian.
I think
they're
that's
all.
kind of weird politically modern nowadays.
I doubt it. I think they're all going to be defectors or spies, or so. It
Or
doesn't
there's
really
something
matter.
evil
Double
in the government they're all
agents.
battling
Yeah,
or something.
I wouldn't worry about it. It's David Harbour. It's fine.
I'm very worried about
Everyone's
it.
like, bring back that Hellboy.
I'm glad he gets a good superhero though now,
I know.
right? Because
Yeah.
I actually do like David Harbour a lot.
too.
And it was frustrating when I tried to watch Hellboy and got through the first 15 minutes and I was like, this isn't his fault.
It's not his fault. He was in Suicide Squad too. I don't know if you guys saw, but the guy that's directing the Metal Gear movie, Jordan Roberts, I have no idea. He went on a Twitter tirade about how whoever's making this movie is stealing stuff from Metal Gear. He started putting red circles on things.
Hold on. First of all,
Yeah.
Metal Gear, if you're Metal Gear, no one can steal from Metal Gear.
Yeah.
Because everything from Metal Gear is stolen.
Yeah.
It's all heavily reverential.
Yeah.
That was my point. I think a lot of people were like, how dare they steal from Metal Gear? But
If anything,
they're just sharing the same references.
when I saw her, I was like, oh, Storm Shadow. Cool.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't.
Storm Shadow did come before Metal Gear, didn't it?
I'm saying Metal Gear steals but sure. It's the one kid who yelled at James Cameron. He goes, I noticed your vehicles from Avatar look like things from Halo. He goes, have you seen Aliens, you dumb shit? I fucking made Halo before Halo.
Yeah, at
And the
least
kid's like, I was born in 2002.
At
Like,
least
that's what I
accuse
thought.
them of stealing from the right thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, or like people. Yeah, I've said this before. Like someone will watch Alien and go, "It's a pretty tropey movie." It's like because it made
established
them.
all of them,
It
yeah.
made the tropes.
Yeah, it very much seemed like a kid complaining about someone else stealing their ideas.
Sure, whatever, man.
They came from the same place.
That's the other thing too, where it's like of anything that shouldn't be a movie, probably Metal Gear, where it's like it's just a snake eating itself, pun intended.
The last time a film invented a new shot was The Matrix. When they put all those cameras together.
fucking point.
But even that was stolen from like commercials and stuff that
Sure.
were doing weird, wild experiments at the time, or sports too.
Yeah.
But like that was the last time anything was new in movies.
So
you're
yeah,
not wrong.
maybe Jordan Roberts needs to go back to school. And if you are looking to go back to school, why don't you check out Columbia College? With Truition at Columbia College, your education is one low price. There are no fees, no book costs, no surprises. Don't play games with getting your education. Truition lets you budget for the true cost of college. They've eliminated all fees, from application to graduation. They provide e-textbooks at no charge. With e-text, you can highlight important sections and add personal notes to the material. You can also convert e-text to audiobooks so that you can listen to content on the go. Truition is for all undergraduate and graduate students taking classes online or in the evening at any of their 30-plus locations. Columbia College was founded in 1851 and has been accredited for more than 100 years. 8-week classes are held year-round, so you can earn a degree quickly. Columbia College's mission is to improve lives by making college affordable. That's the truth. That's Truition. Apply today at mytruition.com/film. So apply today at mytruition.com. That's mytruition.com/film. Check out what Columbia College is doing, and thanks Columbia College for bringing us here today to talk about spy movies. I think we're going to move on to gangster movies real quick. And there was a huge release last week. I guess a few weeks ago it was put out into theaters, but right before the Thanksgiving holiday, Netflix released The Irishman. This is essentially the king of the gangster movie, Martin Scorsese, returning with some of the greatest actors of all time. It's really weird that it's in Netflix and just in a few theaters around the world, because this is a pretty huge movie, considering, I think, the cast, the filmmaker, and the subject matter. Adam, you have not seen The Irishman yet, but
I haven't had a spare 4 hours to watch it yet. I want to, but
So that is
what about it being on Netflix makes it weird?
because it's not in theaters. This is like Martin Scorsese won Oscars. He's kind of returned to the gangster genre that he kind of owns.
It's
I don't
Martin
know.
Scorsese making
De
the most
Niro.
Martin Scorsese movie he's made in probably, 2 decades?
And
It's got Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, Joe Pesci came back.
but it was financed by Netflix, right?
I don't think it was. I think it was.
Oh.
It was being made, and then Netflix kind of swooped in.
They bought the distribution rights. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a movie that you can watch, right?
Well,
Yeah. Well,
Does the way in which you consume it matter to anyone else other than David Lynch?
At the end of the day, it's a movie that clearly the studio executives involved in distributing the movie said, "Go ahead, you could do whatever you want."
and they did.
He
So
did.
the runtime 3.5 hours and the de-aging are kind of the big stories that have been surrounding The Irishman.
It's good though, right? Everyone likes it.
I thought it was excellent.
I love Goodfellas and Casino.
Yeah.
So if it's anything like that,
It's
It's
similar.
very-
it's not as good as those movies.
It's very much like that. I don't think that this movie cracks into my top Scorsese films. Not
Well,
by a long shot.
I
be
think
honest
that's
with you.
because he's made so many ridiculously good movies.
Well, he's also my favorite thing is that like he figured out how to take those movies that he made, the Goodfellas and stuff, and these large, sprawling, decades-sprawling gangster epics or whatever, multi-decades and stuff, and he figured out how to do it, and then I think like Goodfellas is the best version of that, and then Casino kind of gets ragged on a little bit because it feels like it's a shadow of Goodfellas. It's like almost like
Very
someone
similar movie.
took the format and they just started throwing in stuff. I actually still really like Casino because of the location, the subject matter, the performances.
Time period stuff's
it
fun.
feels really genuine and really fun. If it does feel a little bit like, oh, we'll just do Casino as Goodfellas.
he does the same thing with Wolf of Wall Street and it works.
Wolf of Wall Street. But then that's the thing. I like Wolf of Wall Street a lot because it feels like an evolution of that.
It's the modern gangster.
It's a new kind of gangster, and it's also it's not as drab as his other movies. He has a younger cast, but
Super
it's
stylish.
It's very stylish. It feels like it's an evolution. It's like Martin Scorsese's evolution. I think Departed is similar, where Departed is this big thing that covers a long period of time.
Yeah, you're
Gangs in
right
New York.
about Departed too, because Departed felt like a movie that came out and it felt relevant.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas this does feel like he's hearkening. He's like, I'm making a movie it's set in a different time period. It's not set in present day, obviously, so it's gonna feel dated, but it does feel. Whereas Departed felt like Scorsese making movies for the new decade. This feels like him reverting back to the way he made movies.
That's how I felt watching it. I liked it. Elise and I watched it all in one sitting.
It was
Despite
good.
the fact that we didn't have to. We watched it and enjoyed it, but it did feel like Martin Scorsese making a Martin Scorsese movie, which is not as good as Martin Scorsese making a great movie, if that makes sense to anyone else.
What does a Martin Scorsese movie in 2019 look like?
He wasn't pushing it. It seems like something he could have made at any point in his career.
It's like incredibly well written,
Mhm.
and it also takes a real event in history and kind of flips it in a weird way. Like it
Ties
plays
together some
loose ends that we
conspiracy theories,
conspiracy
maybe.
theories that we don't know exactly.
Does the Iceman kill him?
He is buried under a speed bump at Yankee Stadium.
Okay.
No, yeah. And then going back to him, it felt like he had free reign. But I do think that someone should have stepped in and said, do you think that the best strategy for this movie is to start with a flashback into a flashback? Like there's weird stutter steps that aren't as seamless as his other movies, I
almost wonder if that was an editing decision.
That they didn't.
Like
It was
a
originally
Tarantino
scripted.
style. Yeah, like they kind of put in these bookends and kept going back to that road trip. A few, I don't know, to give it
but
some
I felt like
structure.
it was weird because then there's a whole nother. It felt like Inception. If in Inception there was one layer above everything that you just checked on occasionally.
Adam, if I was going to ask you who you think Martin Scorsese is going to put in a movie, who are the names that you think of?
Leonardo DiCaprio, Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci. I would have said Matt Damon, but it looks like he put Fat Damon in it.
He
instead.
did. Yep.
Yeah.
He did.
But it's basically Leonardo DiCaprio.
Anybody
Robert De Niro.
missing that you think of that's not in this? Because there's one notable person that stands out for me that's not in this
Ray
movie.
Liotta.
Ray
No.
Liotta.
Really?
Yeah.
Where is Ray?
He's only put him in
Come on, Mark.
one movie.
Yeah, it just felt strange to me because there's like every working Italian actor is in this. Ray Romano's in this movie.
What's his face?
Ray's actually pretty good.
Sebastian Maniscalco.
The comedian Sebastian Maniscalco, he's in this movie too, and he's great in it.
I mean, sometimes Ray Liotta gets busy. You know.
What?
Well, the interesting thing is that Ray
Coulda had a
Liotta.
fine he had to pay.
I'm not trying to shit on Ray Liotta, but Ray Liotta had some plastic surgery, and he weirdly looks like a de-aged version of Ray Liotta. So he would have been perfect because Robert De Niro, what they did with him with the special effects makes him look like a de-aged version of Robert De Niro. I also think too, it was that flashback into flashback was jarring because it shows the first image of the movie is Robert De Niro in old man makeup.
Mm-hmm.
Playing like a 90-something-year-old version of Robert De Niro. Then it flashes back, like 30 years or something? 20,
Maybe
30
more than
years?
that,
to a point where now he's kind of like an old man, but not 90 years, like 60s.
Less old.
70s or something like that, but he's not 90. And then it immediately flashes back again to him in his, I have no idea how old, because he looks like an old man with a plastic mask on. And so, it's weird because Goodfellas, they cast a young actor, and then when it was time for him to be an adult man, they just brought in Ray Liotta.
Right.
And it didn't. I wasn't like, where's that? Where did the other one go?
Yeah.
Why isn't he older now? Like I just understood.
I mean, sometimes we're like, we got the technology, let's use it, but it doesn't always.
Mm-hmm.
I think that their de-aging technology, I also think, is interesting looking because their young Robert De Niro doesn't look like Robert De Niro looked like when he was young.
Right.
It's very strange.
Yeah.
It's not like the Disney stuff where young Samuel L. Jackson looks like young Samuel L. Jackson.
kind
Yeah,
of.
that's what happened a little bit with Anthony Hopkins. What did they de-age him for? They de-aged him for something. Oh, maybe it was Hannibal.
Well,
but then he didn't look like we all know what Anthony Hopkins looks like. He looked like
I don't
when
know
he
if
was
the
young.
de-age him is just sort of,
Smoothed him out.
Well, I
We
think that's what it
determined-
is. It's smooth. It's some sort of
Smoothing.
smoothing.
Yeah.
It only works on Patrick Stewart. We've
Yeah.
determined that. Okay.
Yeah, that's
as long
great.
as it's
Good
really
point.
blown out.
And I think a lot of people have made this point, but the other thing the de-aging doesn't really do is it doesn't make Robert De Niro move like someone who's 30 years old. He
That's-
still moves like an old man.
Well, that was the thing too with Samuel L. Jackson when he's like, I'm just a 30-year-old shield agent on the beat. Let me get down.
You hear the cracking and stuff.
Oh
and
God!
Just
like there's one point in the movie where he's like beating up a guy, and it's very clearly an old man trying to not fall over.
Yeah.
go ahead.
No, I was gonna say who plays Jimmy Hoffa in this movie?
Pacino.
Al
is
Pacino.
fucking
Django.
awesome.
He's
Gotcha.
great.
Okay.
I mean,
the whole Jimmy Hoffa thing. It's almost like its own movie shoved in the middle of this movie. It becomes Al Pacino's Jimmy Hoffa movie about 45 minutes in,
Yeah.
and then it's his movie for about an hour and a
Okay.
half.
I'm interested in the Hoffa stuff, so I do want to see it for that.
Yeah, I would say it does feel more like it's the life of Robert De Niro with a side of Jimmy Hoffa,
Okay.
which I wish it was more of just the Jimmy Hoffa focused stuff, the
Yeah. 'Cause
he's so
politics
good.
of
Well,
that.
it does feel like there's a solid two hours, maybe, like a solid 2
But
hours.
then there's 3 hours of
No,
just
but
Robert
there's
De
like
Niro.
2 hours of the Jimmy Hoffa movie in there,
Yeah.
which is like it, and that's when the movie's in high gear because it's just Robert De Niro, no crazy makeup or no special effects or whatever, and it's just churning. I get what the story they were telling is provide context for this guy, this Irishman who was here for all of these major mobster events and just kind of like
He's Forrest Gump.
he's kind
Is
of
that what you
Forrest
said
Gump.
when we were watching it?
That's
all you.
That's a brilliant thought there.
But you need the context, and then you want the fallout, right,
Yeah.
of those events.
And honestly, when the Hoffa stuff concludes, which is an amazing part of the film, I feel like it loses steam. There's another 30 minutes after the Hoffa
Post
stuff
Hoffa. Yeah.
It's
where
wrapping
they're
up.
becoming older than old looking.
It's the loose ends of Robert De Niro's
At least,
life.
as long as it has the scene with Geraldo opening up that vault on Current Affair and everything, they're like, Jimmy Hoffa could be in here. We can't. And then it's just
That was
empty.
such a big
News-
deal.
I know.
I'm sure you've seen this stuff, Adam, because it was happening even before the movie was, when it first got screened, people were up in arms because Anna Paquin plays Robert De Niro's daughter in it, right?
Okay.
And she says like 2 words, and everyone was really upset because there's not really a female presence in this movie. Anna Paquin, you have this talented actress, she says 2 words. I mean, okay, yes, I obviously want to see women excelling in films, whatever, but I didn't really get the outcry for that because the whole point of it is that she doesn't speak to her father. So they don't make her speak. They just have her stare at him real hard all the time. And I'm like, that's the point.
It's a very underdeveloped plot, I think. There's a point to it. Like it's supposed to provide some thematic resonance at the end, but it's just underdeveloped as well.
Well, I found it to be a bit distracting only because I know Anna Paquin is this extremely talented actress with a very storied career, and then so I showed up. I was like, "Ooh, we're setting. You don't cast Anna Paquin unless something's coming." And then it's her, and then the rest of the movie you just see her leaving her room.
It was almost like a routine where you would see Andy Kaufman go up to the microphone, and he's standing there in silence for 90 seconds. And you're going, Andy Kaufman's going to say something great, and then he goes. And then he steps away from the mic. Every time you saw Anna Paquin, and she's staring at him in silence because she's not going to talk to him, and you're like, okay, she's going to let him have it, and it never happens.
I think some of it is the legacy effect. I think Anna Paquin, if she was offered that role in any other film with any other director, probably be like, no. When someone comes to you and goes, do you want to be in the Martin Scorsese film, you're going to be playing this character, and you read the whole script, which is probably about 1,000 pages.
Flipping through
and
every
then you go,
page,
I'm not in this. And then you go, yes, I'll do it. Like,
we ain't called The Irish Woman.
I was going to say, do you think they're going to release the road cut of The Irishman?
Mate, where was she the whole time?
Bryan Singer's like, we're working on a road cut of The Irish. Like, wait, aren't you in jail? Didn't you rape a kid or something?
They just, we were just showing it like a little Joe Pesci thing, but I'm glad he came back for this movie because I thought he was phenomenal.
Oh my gosh,
it made me miss him and wish he was in more movies because he was just excellent. I think in every frame he was in.
He had total yellow bastard energy this whole movie.
Not to diminish Robert De Niro, who I think is really good, but he is completely outshined in this movie by Al Pacino and Joe Pesci.
Yeah, Joe Pesci. But he really is. It is weird to say Robert De Niro's the third best actor in a movie.
Yeah, but it's great. I mean, without getting too much into spoilers of this movie, my only discrepancy is that one of the things that I think that makes Goodfellas so great is it starts with him so young. You see how his decision making is a product of the environment in which he was brought up and how he learned to survive. It's like a survival method. But when you meet Robert De Niro's character, he's already like out of the army. He's of indeterminate.
A young man of 55.
He's kind of some rando age, and then just decides to take on killing. And I'm like, well, I feel like we're missing a piece. Like, why is he so willing to just happily murder people and don't say the war? You can't just do, the war. Everyone comes back from the war and they're totally immune to death. Like. So there was a weird thing, a missing piece of his character. But then you get Jimmy Hoffa, you get Al Pacino, and like all these people, and they're like so fully fleshed out.
I don't want to spoil it for you, Adam, but there was no nudity, so we didn't see any
old dong
or balls or any
Martin
hairy.
Like, we can fix your dick. We can make it look young.
Martin Scorsese, he makes his male actors wear merkins.
Oh, really?
I didn't know that.
Are all his male actors shaved?
They should be.
No. There is a point though where in the sauna together.
Bastard.
A bunch of people in the sauna together, and I don't remember how old he's supposed to be, but like there's kind of a younger-ish looking Robert De Niro, and his body is so old, and it's just a bunch of old man bodies. It's kind of like same
I thought
breasts.
that looked digitally touched up too.
Well, it looks like they softened the wrinkles, but it's the shape, like all the skin is still loose. Sure. So I don't know. It's a 3.5 hour movie that we watched
and no
unbroken.
Balls.
It starts to move. I think after the act kicks, the second act starts, it moves.
I'll get to it eventually. I'll probably get it like over the holiday break.
It's a perfect holiday break.
I'll rent it at the Red Box or wherever it's at. I'll go to the theater, go one Irishman, please.
Rewatch Coco and then watch the Irishman.
Here, to make you happy, Dan, I will rent a movie ticket for, I don't know, whatever's playing, Star Wars or Cats. And then I'll bring my phone in and I'll stream Irishman on Netflix and watch it with headphones.
Please watch it on your phone.
Just ask out loud in the theater if this movie has got Wi-Fi.
I'm going to go, he's young!
So, a question for you guys. Without diving into it too deeply, Scorsese's recently been going after Marvel, whether
Said one thing.
exactly, it's been overblown.
won't stop.
It's been
It's like
overblown.
Jaws.
He's diving into it a little bit. I feel like
He wrote
he's
an
doubled
op-ed
down
or something about
anyway,
it.
yeah, the media has made a big thing about this, but he's
Old man
claimed
set his ways. Headline.
he's claimed that Marvel is killing cinema. Is it hypocritical at all to release your film with Netflix while claiming that some other studio is killing cinema?
No, because he's talking about the spectacle of cinema. His criticisms appeared to be mostly directed at the impetus for making a film.
Not distribution.
Not necessarily the distribution, though I'm sure if we dig far enough, we could find some things that he or his friends have said about how Netflix is the devil.
At the end of the day, my biggest problem is the people. There's it's people in theaters that are ruining cinema. I don't know if that's my issue is that I think cinema can be enjoyed in a theater, on your phone, anywhere, at the end of the day. But the thing that is killing it are the types of people who go to movies where it's we're allowing it to be okay for you to whip your phone out and take a photo of the screen or just be on your phone the whole time. That to me just shows a lack of interest in seeing film, or our attention spans are just too short. I don't know.
Well, I think to that point, I think Marvel is trying to compete with those types of attention spans.
Exactly.
They're trying to compete. They have to keep things elevated like a roller coaster, like Martin Scorsese says. It feels like a ride. They have to keep it that way so that way you watch the movie.
Watch that person, the person who whips their phone out every time. The minute things aren't loud and at a plus 10 decibel, they whip their phone out. As long as there's any downtime, see how Facebook is doing. And it's well, fuck you. Just don't go. But
Agreed.
It's becoming the norm, which is also annoying. I swear to God, we're not too far off where pretty soon it's either going to be Netflix or we're going to start, each seat's going to be a box that you sit in. And they're this way you can be on your phone during the movie. And you're I guess we solved the problem.
For me, a movie like this was perfect for Netflix because it was coming out and I was oh man, I'd love to see a new Martin Scorsese movie, especially with all these talented actors and subject matter that I'm interested in. 3.5 hours. And then you're doing the math.
It's exhausting.
By the time you leave the apartment, get in the car, arrive there, sit through previews.
It's Tuesday.
That's you're in the next day. You might as well have flown across the Atlantic.
Well, Yeah, Adam, to your point about the private boxes, AMC tried to introduce those phone screenings a year or two ago. Remember that? And that backfired horribly.
What was that?
AMC wanted to hold screenings of movies that were ones you could take out your phone during them, use your phone.
Ugh.
It was, you went in with that tacit consent that if you were going to that screening, people around you be using their phones, whatever, and then it got huge backlash online, and they killed it.
I don't think assholes know they're assholes.
Yeah, I don't.
Sometimes there's too much hair.
But yeah, look,
too much hair.
Marvel is not killing cinema. Cinema will be fine. There will always be auteurs and people making good movies. So chill out, old man.
Yeah, old man. Clean yourself up.
Yeah.
Clean yourself up. Clean yourself up down there. Support for Funhaus comes from Manscaped, who's the best in men's below-the-belt grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Jingle balls to the walls, fellas. Listen up. Untrimmed pubes are a thing of the past. It's time to gear up and get yourself the gift of shaving this holiday season. I'm talking about the Manscaped Perfect Package 2.0. Manscaped is a revolutionary company that has redesigned the electric trimmer. Their Lawnmower 2.0 has proprietary advanced skin-safe technology, so this trimmer won't nick or snag your nuts. It's also waterproof, so you can use it in the shower. The Lawnmower 2.0 comes inside their Perfect Package 2.0. which makes for the perfect gift this holiday season. It's literally everything you need to keep trimmed, cut-free, and smelling nice down there. The Manscaped Perfect Package 2.0 also includes the Crop Preserver, an anti-chafing ball deodorant and moisturizer. These products smell good. Their manly scent is attractive and will help set the mood, if you know what I mean. The Perfect Package will also come with a pair of Manscaped high-performance anti-chafing boxer briefs that'll keep your junk feeling fresh all day. 'Tis the season to Manscaped, so get yourself, your dad, your brother, and friends the best gift of all. The Manscaped Perfect Package 2.0. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code FILMHOUSE at manscaped.com. Your balls will thank you. Clean up your nuts and make Santa proud this year. So get 20% off and free shipping with code FILMHOUSE at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. Use the promo code FILMHOUSE as you're checking out. Thanks, Manscaped, for supporting the show this week, letting us talk about The Irishman. And we have a little bit of time left. You guys saw Mr. Rogers' movie this weekend?
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Yes, the
No.
title whose
A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood.
Yes.
I
Even
keep
though
calling it the Mr.
the
Rogers
actual
movie.
lyrics are, when he sings it, a beautiful day in this neighborhood.
Did you learn that in this movie?
Check it.
Interesting. I have no idea.
But most people think it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood,
Yeah.
but it's this.
That's
It's
interesting.
a beautiful day in this neighborhood.
Neighborhood,
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Hello, neighbor.
Beautiful day.
How you doing?
So this isn't
want to
really-
hear about Vietnam from my little king friend?
Wasn't it his tiger?
Wasn't
Wasn't that
Tiger?
the first?
I thought it was the king's
genesis
like,
of
Yeah,
it?
King Friday.
Okay,
I'm so sad. He's like, what's going on? I was like, they're killing kids in Burma. And he's like, oh.
Well, King,
It's so heavy.
because
So heavy.
the King Friday was the one who was like, we should blow them up.
Yeah. Burn them with napalm.
He's talking about in his own little world of make believe or whatever.
And yeah.
Jesus,
Yeah.
so never mind.
No, go for it.
I was just going to say about how dark that Agent Orange stuff is. They've got a lot of people in Vietnam, and they're like shoving it in your face.
Yeah.
They're like, here are these children that still suffer from Agent Orange.
Johnson & Johnson, family company.
Anyway, so this isn't really a Mr. Rogers biopic, which is kind of what I thought it was.
No.
It's more
It's
a
a
Matthew Reese's story.
Yeah, I got it.
Loose fictional interpretation of a real life article that was written.
There was a writer who was a known sort of like skeptic and pessimist who got assigned to write a profile of Mr. Rogers and thought that Mr. Rogers had this duality to him, that the Mr. Rogers that you see on camera and on TV is not really who he is behind the scenes. This
It's
writer,
like, there's impossible that someone that great
yes,
lives.
Seal
And-
Clubber, Mr.
Sniper.
Rogers.
and this man quickly learned, this writer quickly learned that no, he is very much that one. He's someone that has emotions and can get angry or upset like anyone else, but he very much is who he is on camera. And they struck up a lifelong friendship that they had until Mr. Rogers died. And the way that this movie structures, not as a traditional biopic, but it uses the story of that writer as the framework, and it couches, you learning about Mr. Rogers. So it doesn't span the scope of Mr. Rogers, who he was when he was a child, how he got into broadcast, his relationship with his wife. It doesn't do what a traditional biopic does in leading you through the life of Mr. Rogers. It is a very closed case of this person.
Yeah.
Which-
it also presumes that you know Mr. Rogers.
Yes.
Well, there's that
Very much.
amazing documentary that already came out that you should
Which-
probably
Such
just
a
watch
good-
that.
I would say that I had a better time watching that than I
Okay,
did
so that
this
was
movie.
that was a question I had. That movie is actually, the doc's better than the Tom Hanks movie.
People are raving about this movie. Everyone really, really likes it. I thought it was fine.
Yeah, Elise and I kind of had a lukewarm response to it.
Yeah,
I mean, the story of the guy is, to me, way less interesting
than just learning about Mr.
than
Rogers.
just watching Mr. Rogers.
Well, it's Matthew Reese with like daddy issues, right?
Yeah, he's very
And-
unlikable.
And I think the biggest...
Matthew Reese is?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I love that guy.
He's very
What's he
unlikable
from?
in this movie.
The Americans.
Oh, it's that guy. Okay.
But...
Great show, by the way.
And I think my big thing is like show this guy and how he's so cynical and his life's a mess and he's self-sabotaging and stuff until he interacts with Mr. Rogers. But when I walked out of the movie, I was like, well, all in all, his interaction, he didn't really he spent a grand total of 10 minutes around Mr. Rogers. And so either Mr. Rogers is magic
Yeah.
and just accidentally did that, or they kind of undercut the amount of time it takes for human beings to change, kind of thing.
I think it's a really clever way to approach the story of Mr. Rogers, to say, well, let's do it because he helped so many people, so let's tell his story through a person that he helped, is a really, really clever approach to it. But I much would have rather have seen how Mr. Rogers got into, and you learn that in the documentary about him, but it would have been
Tie into
it's with the puppet. I would have loved to have seen, like, because what you want from a biopic is, like, you want to see what you know about Mr. Rogers. You want to see him at the trial at Congress, or speaking in front of Congress, talking about getting funding for children's programming. You want to see that, but then you want to see the conversation he had with his wife the night before, where he goes, like, honey, I just don't know if I can do this, if people are going to listen to me. Like, you want to see what's the Mr. Rogers that you didn't see, and you don't necessarily get that in this movie, which isn't to say that that's not good. It's just different. I've been comparing it to the Elton John Rocket Man biopic, because that movie also takes a different approach to the traditional biopic, where it tells the story of Elton John using the structuring of his addiction, using music, which is intrinsic to him, and using magical realism, which when you think of someone like Elton John, you definitely think of this magical whimsy person, like that can when he's singing lift through the air. And but I did like the Elton John one better because
I will say there's a couple great things about this movie. For all of the establishing shots that a movie would normally use of the city and the world, they built miniature Mr. Rogers style sets. So every single time he's like, I got to go to Pittsburgh, it cuts to like a miniature airport with like a string playing going like sheer or whatever. And that I thoroughly enjoyed. But it was a weird like injection of style where some of the rest of the movie just feels like you could be watching anything, like Little Miss Sunshine. You could be watching any other kind of non-stylistic movie.
Definitely lacks the scope of Mr. Rogers' life.
Do they have him in the pool with his postal carrier?
In the pool? No, not in the pool, but you do see him how he did laps every day.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. You're talking about the racism thing.
Yeah.
No, they don't touch on any of those moments in his life.
It seems like they might have made the Transformers and Ninja Turtles mistake, where you don't spend time with the thing you went to see the movie for.
It's weird. I mean, I get it. I think especially considering that documentary came out, which covers everything, it probably would have not been the best idea for them to just do a straight up biopic of Mr. Rogers. But I think what they picked was maybe, for me, a little too far off. I would also specify that we went to see it at the Draft House, where they were playing, instead of previews beforehand, they were playing tons of Mr. Rogers clips because that theater chain does like a customized playlist for every movie. And so we were watching the actual Mr. Rogers and we're like getting really hyped, showing clips from the documentary, interviews, all kinds of stuff like that, archival footage. And then you slide right into this and it was like, oh, this is not that. You see, like, I think Tom Hanks is good, but it's Tom Hanks. He's not at all close to Mr. Rogers.
That's my question. When they make the Tom Hanks biopic, are they going to have the actor playing Tom Hanks playing Mr. Rogers?
Well, Colin Hanks will play him.
It's too ugly.
Tom Hanks is like Hollywood's Mr. Rogers, so I understand that. But
the casting makes sense.
But he also
played Walt Disney.
Yeah, he did.
Known racist Walt Disney.
But Tom Hanks is also a pretty imposing man with a pretty, boisterous voice and stuff. And so when he's sitting across the room from a guy trying to have a very quiet, connected conversation like you've seen Mr. Rogers do with kids or whatever, I got a tinge of like fear more than I did from Mr. Rogers ever,
Yeah, you really needed Tom Hanks to just kind of like lose a bunch of weight to get down to that 143 weight that Mr. Rogers maintained for his whole. I'm not joking. I'm saying because he didn't look meek in it, like that kind of his frame.
He's great. He's great in it, and he does a great job in hitting all the puppets' voices and stuff. It's just like the movie for me didn't really give me enough time to get used to him as Mr. Rogers because it focused so much on the other guy.
That's unfortunate.
And then I also think the movie is constantly hitting you over the head with this messaging that like he's not magic. He's like Mr. Rogers. He's human. He put a lot of effort into trying to be good and be connected and love humanity and love human beings and like be attentive and stuff. He put a lot of effort into that, but he still was very human and he wasn't perfect. This movie despite saying that like 3 or 4 times in the movie, treats him like magic. He just shows up places. The only thing that's missing is the umbrella that he flights down on, and then he just like waves his hand in front of someone, and then they're suddenly cured of their ailments or whatever. Like, that's a hyperbolic example,
I like this
but
movie too.
it feels like that sometimes in this movie, and I was like, I don't know. I was kind of when I walked away, I was like kind of caught between vibes.
Seems you were a little underwhelmed.
I don't know.
There could have been a cool scene where that guy's like feeling real bad about my life. Mr. Rogers like floating by his window, like fly with me, and he like wakes up and he's like, "What the fuck was that?"
There are stuff like that. There are weird hallucinations, except the movie is unclear about what's a hallucination and what's not.
It did teach me
like
that
movie.
Mr. Rogers had the speaking nuance of starting a lot of sentences with or the writer that wrote this thought he did. Because I was watching, he starts the last stuff where he goes, and then he gives his lesson.
Yeah.
Oh well,
it's just weird.
It doesn't end with him going, "I have something to show you," and it's like a dark basement.
It's a mole that is kind of weird
That
shaped.
when you pedaled,
I have a dark secret. I need to show you something.
So also there's this last week, Elise, that we got the Harrison Ford dog movie
I've
trailer.
seen this in theaters twice now, this trailer.
What's it about?
It's Call of the Wild.
Oh, but they called it
Jack
something
London.
different?
No, it's
No.
called Call of the Wild.
Oh,
Can
is
you
it?
just rewind it real quick? We're gonna look at it's the second shot or whatever of this. So there's shot number 1. It's a landscape of the ice.
This is a last
shot. Number 2 is guys climbing up a hill. The third shot is terrible.
Yeah.
Look at that. Looks like the Mummy, like level
bad
CG.
Yeah.
And
I
then
don't know
it
what kind of
doesn't stop
budget
from there.
Call of the Wild had, though.
I'm just
Probably
shocked
all went to the dog.
that Harrison Ford's like, kill me off in Star Wars. I don't want to do another one of those shit fests. Put me in the dog movie.
Did we shoot at that house?
No, I don't think
It
so.
looked like
No, I don't
it looked like the old racist house we shot
See
at.
the
in
dog,
circle.
the door get closed. Can we
Man.
rewatch the dog getting the door
Oh, this
closed in
is-
his face?
the dog animation is terrible.
Watch the dog get the door closed in his face.
Yeah.
How
Wow.
affronted it looks.
Everything else is so realistic. Well, the best thing is the shot at the end when he's like, "Did you eat my steaks?" And the dog goes, "Meow." It's Kangaroo Jack. Like it looks
Yeah.
like Kangaroo Jack.
Oh my god.
It sucks because everything else in the trailer, like the beats of it and the
Hmm.
story of Call of the Wild, I'm like, it's the kind of thing where you're probably gonna cry at the end.
Was
Yeah.
this
But
made
this,
into a
I'm
movie
not.
before?
Yeah.
Yeah, a long
A
time
lot
ago.
of times.
I get it mixed up with, I guess there's also Balto, Iron Will. There's like
There's a lot of dog
a lot of
movies.
dog snow movies that I'm getting it mixed up with. For
Check
some
out
reason,
this map.
Yeah.
I think because everyone just called it like Harrison Ford dog movie. I didn't
Yeah.
know it was Call of the Wild.
Yeah.
No.
It's weird because the movie takes itself so seriously and then it has like
CGI dog.
worse than Beethoven, you know,
Yeah.
like
Well, it looks like a Scooby-Doo sequel or something.
It looks like Scooby Doo. I don't
like
understand.
if this was Scooby and Shaggy in an alternate reality, I'd probably be into it.
The tear that just rolled down Harrison Ford's face looked CG too.
He can't make tears anymore.
I don't know
it's
how
too
to
dry.
do it.
Yeah.
As dry as Callista.
Girls cry.
Yeah.
I do want to see some of the footage pre-fake dog where he's just shouting at a green screen or a tennis ball or something.
Here we go. We're gonna get this great last shot where he's like, "Did you eat my beans?" or whatever, and then the dog goes, "Meh, meh." That's my favorite part of this whole
Cool.
trailer.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Where's my beans? Not me. You sure? Meh.
Well,
Wonderful.
comes out the day after my birthday, so I know what
There
I'll
you
be.
go.
Early screening.
You've got Call of the Wild. I'll raise you a Willem Dafoe dog movie.
Oh, this is
called
one I was
Togo.
going to Togo's, yeah.
This actually
Togo.
looks like not half
The
bad.
sandwich place?
Is this not what it's
Pronounced the
based on?
same.
At the very end, yeah, he goes, I should open up a sandwich chain. The sandwiches will be smaller than that of Subway, but they'll cost the same.
Is this new?
Yeah, I think this came out in the past day or two.
Oh,
But
okay.
this actually looks like maybe the good version of the Harrison Ford dog
Yeah, it's
movie.
interesting.
Okay.
Why Disney now is making the knockoffs.
They couldn't buy the rights to a
This
100-year-old
already
story.
looks so much more endearing.
It is.
That's a real
The-
dog, a real physical dog doing cute shit.
You go watch this trailer with the sound on after this. It'll stand the hair on the back of your neck up.
That looks so much better.
And then
Yeah.
Willem Dafoe's yelling at the dog.
I'm always excited for kids to see Willem Dafoe for the first time. Because I think the first time I saw him was in American Psycho, and I'm like, is that man real? Like, I thought they got a mannequin to act. Because he looks otherworldly, especially when he's lit like in a certain way. You're just like, why? He's so weird. But yeah, so kids are going to be like, Rubber Man was cool.
Do you think that the director of Call of the Wild saw this trailer and he was like, fuck, we should have real dogs? What the fuck I did thinking? God damn it.
I'm guessing every dog in this movie CGI is just done better.
That looks, well,
That's pup.
You have no idea. You can't tell anymore.
They just make it blink every once in
If
a
they
while.
have more time and I mean, it's usually about the same level of talent. Most CGI artists are like, they can do anything. But like,
just given the time.
yeah, when like, I know people give shit to like Black Panther and stuff, and they're like, blah, blah, blah. But like that last fight scene, they only had like 6 weeks to make it or something.
That shot's fake.
You know how
That's probably all fake.
you know how the human brain has just figured out how animation works. We don't see one image displayed again and again at a time. I think with dogs, human beings have just figured out that a good dog actor doesn't look the other dog actor or the human actor in the eyes.
Wait, hold
They
on.
look over their head and
Oh.
beyond to the trainer who's holding the treat.
Well, yeah. Also, I mean, dogs don't like looking humans in the eyes too.
True.
Yeah, exactly.
If you can't see the white in your eye,
There's probably
you are
some
a threat.
CG there you
Yes,
can't tell.
yeah.
But
This whole thing is CG. I'm telling you.
no,
I don't
Willem
know.
Dafoe was there. He had the dogs.
I mean, he's on a green screen, yes. He's like, we're shooting this in Marina Del Rey. I'll show up at 10 a.m. Have my coffee.
We should probably go, but I don't know what you guys have. You guys had a chance to see the Milan trailer?
Yes.
This came out today.
Have
This
not.
actually might be the first live-action Disney movie that I give a shit about. Actually looks kind of cool.
You showed them.
Yeah, they'll
They-
really.
I mean, in the
they'll
end,
learn.
in the end, they win. If it's not this, it's going to be The Emperor's New Groove or
Well,
I don't know, Aristocats.
I think the like B and C tier Disney movies getting made into live action are more interesting to me than seeing The Lion King again.
What about the part of the movie she looks at the camera and says, "Hong Kong must fall"?
It was weird that they left that in.
Whoa, this movie looks cool.
Yeah, there's a little Matrix in it.
Okay.
Oh God. Anyway, so yeah, I guess we are out of time this week. We don't have time to talk about the Honey I Shrunk the Kids reboot that they're doing. Maybe we'll have time next week. But thanks for coming around. Thanks again to Muggsy Jeans, Columbia College, and Manscaped for sponsoring the show this week. I really appreciate it. We appreciate it. Thanks for bringing us here. And thanks you for tuning in. I guess let me know what your favorite gangster movie is or your favorite dog movie in those comments. And we'll be back next week.
Be a Irishman.
Do your Irish song, Adam.
Hell no.
The equivalent of getting a board game and having all these different pieces, which are all different colors. They all have different looks and different colors or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you flip over the box, and on the back of the box, it lists out in 3 sentences everything you need to know about those characters, so that way
Yeah.
you feel compelled to follow the story.
The Locked Room Mystery is like one of my favorite